Hello, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of Healthy Bands with Aidi. This is just water, in case you're wondering. But yeah, welcome back to another episode with me. Let me know if you can hear me. Today, we are going to have a very exciting topic. I am very excited for today's topic because with everything that I have been through in my life and the things that people are constantly going through, I think there is a need for us to just have a conversation about it. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what change looks like, especially for people who are in, situations that you're transitioning out of either a particularly bad situation or a good one. It doesn't matter. A change could be positive or negative. But today, I really want to talk about change regarding people, human beings. And I convinced my friend to join me on this particular episode. This is meant to be a solo episode, but I would like to have a healthy conversation about it, instead of just having people join and they're not quite sure what I'm talking about. So they're not able to ask questions that are directed at what I'm talking about, what the topic is. So I will have my friend join me now in about 8 minutes, and we are going to talk about change, what that looks like. I have a whole list of things that I want to go through with him and that I want us to talk about as a group. So feel free to join, feel free to ask questions, feel free to give your opinion, disagree, agree. Um, please share, please share this live on Facebook because my hope is to connect with more Nigerian audience. Like, I want to connect with more Nigerians. I want more Nigerians to join in on these conversations because they are healthy conversations that needs to be had, especially with our Nigerian society. There is a need for a deeper conversation about change, what that looks like. Where does it start from? The change that we actually want to see, where does that start from? Where does it come from? Yeah. So that's what today is going to be all about. Can people truly change? Okay. Do you think people can truly change? If somebody says, oh, yeah, I'm going to change, especially in relationships, you have people who are saying, oh, yeah, I'm going to change, like in my next relationship, I'm going to do so and so, but da 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 da. And then they end up not changing or just being the same person that they've been in previous relationships. So, can people truly change? I am not a psychologist, but I have been through life, and I think just as human beings, we can all agree everybody is subjected to change. And once you start resisting change, then you you feel it in negative ways. So yeah, change is what is that thing to say? Change is inevitable. Change happens to everybody, and the best thing you can do, the best thing any of us can do as human beings, is to embrace our natural tendencies to change. Do not resist it. If you are in a relationship with somebody that's resisting change, especially positive change, you may have to start running. Hey, Sans. So I'm going to have my friend join me um, in about 5 minutes, and we are going to try and unravel this topic of change. I want to hear your opinions. I want to hear your suggestions. I want to hear your stories. Because I'm going to really want us to get interactive. It's going to be a lot of questions, and hopefully, you can participate. You can type in your response. You can share this live. We're going to be here for almost 2 hours. I'm hoping that it's not up to 2 hours because I have another meeting I have to be a part of. So, but yeah, I'm really excited for us to tackle this topic. What am I doing? I am sitting down here on YouTube Live and connecting with all of my audience wherever you are, just for us to have a conversation, a healthy conversation about change, about human behavior, habits, change. Can people truly change? Is it possible for a person to change and come out of something and be a different person? Is it possible? Does change mean healing? Okay, because there's that. If you're changing, are you healing? So we are here to talk about that. And if that's a topic that you are interested in chiming in, I have a bunch of questions here that I'm going to go through with my friend when he joins me in 3 minutes. And then we're going to both have this conversation. And hopefully you join in, hopefully you have questions. Yeah, and hopefully please share, like this live and share if this thank you so much, Martin. If this if this type of conversation is something you're into, because there are a lot of negative conversations on the internet. There are a lot of conversations that, honestly, when you listen to them, you're losing, well, at least I am losing brain cells. These are conversations that I have no interest or just very little interest in talking about, because the things that really we should be talking about that has to do with um, how to make our lives easier, or just sharing our experiences so that we know we are not alone in this, people are really not talking about. So I'm hoping that my channel, I can have these conversations, because these are things that, questions I have in my head. These are questions I have to deal with on a daily basis with human beings. Um, so I am hoping to share if and we can have these healthy conversations surrounding um, these. So yeah, my guest is joining me sooner than later, but yeah, he's here, and I'd like for you to welcome UK. Hopefully, he's able to join me. Hey,
Hey,
hey. I was just introducing you, UK, to my lovely audience, and I'm hoping that we can have a healthy banter on here regarding this topic. I have a whole list of things we need to get
okay.
into, so I hope you're ready.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. I hope I didn't join too soon because I know you said 110, but I was like, let me be early just to make sure.
Hey,
Yeah.
as a Nigerian to Nigerian, I appreciate you, okay? Thank you for coming in early, because we have our own time and
I know.
reputation.
I thought about doing African time at like 1:15, but I felt like that would have been too a
No,
little too late. Okay, okay, that's
yeah,
good.
I appreciate you coming in early. Um, Thank you guys. So I was just telling everybody in the comments that you're going to join me and we're going to have this amazing conversation. I'm hoping it will be healthy as well as very um back and not back and forth in a bad way, but with very healthy banter
Mm-hmm.
about change. Can people really change? I am not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist. I do not think you are one, but we are human beings that have been through life. And if you have been through anything in life, and especially um, having to raise yourself in a distant land, that can teach you a lot, that can help you grow really fast, and you can see a lot of change really fast. You
All
can
right.
see people changing and all that. So I'm hoping we talk about those things in healthy ways. um, but yeah, do you want to introduce yourself briefly, just very briefly, before we get
What what
into it?
what do I put in my introduction? Do I just introduce myself? Do I put my local government? Like I don't
I
know.
don't
How
know.
is this?
Tell the girls if you are, available, or tell the boys if their sisters should be scared. I don't know. What do you tell? This is not an interview, so I guess just what is your name, how people can, what you're into,
Hmm.
um, all that.
Okay. All right. So my name is Ukema Bong Anthony, but everybody calls me UK because it's easier for everybody that's not a BBO. I'm
Yeah.
obviously from Akwa Ibom, and what else? I am really, really into like history. I'm trying to become a DevOps engineer, so all things DevOps really interest me right now. I have like projects I'm working on and all that. So, yeah, that's a very, very
So if you have
short
any tech
intro.
question while we are talking, if you have any,
Mhm.
and you want to, you can ask. You can ask my friend, and
I'll
he will.
try to answer. If I can't, I'll just sneakily Google it over here and then answer it and look like I actually knew what I was talking about the whole time.
Amen.
So, yeah, fake it till you
Okay.
make it, right?
Okay. Sweet. So now we know UK, and I am Aidi Tandy, your beautiful host of this wonderful show, Healthy Bands with Heidi. Um, Again, I try to have these healthy conversations because there's just enough negativity. There's just enough like gossip online. I'm like, oh, let's talk about something else, especially as Nigerians. We have a lot at stake as Nigerians regarding where our country is heading. And in as much as, there's the political talk, I don't want this to be a political show. However, I want
Hmm.
this show to be centered about how Nigeria can move forward, how Nigerians can, participate. Like, how can we be comfortable and can we move forward with ourselves despite these situations, despite these things? And it occurred to me that we may have to start talking about um, psychology because at the end of it all, it really boils down to the human psychic, right? That's where it starts from. So, change, hence the topic change, right?
Right.
Can people truly change? What do you think?
Yes, I am 100% a believer in the thought or the just whatever that people can actually change because we're autonomous creatures and I don't believe in destiny. I think you create your own destiny. Yes, you could be born to specific background that could predispose you towards specific outcomes, but I just in my heart of heart believe that you're in charge of your destiny. You plot your own course. So that's why I really believe that people can change because it might be slow, it might not be drastic, but people choose, their destinies. So yes, people can't change. People can't pick the outcomes or people choose their actions, what actions to take in specific situations. So, and if you're used to a specific pattern where if you're confronted with a specific action, you go a certain way and it's not been working for you, and you have enough awareness to be introspective to realize, hey, if I've been trying, A, B, C, D, and it's not working, let's try alternatives. And that's an easy
That's an easy
way.
example of
Yeah, an easy
change.
example of change. Yes, thank you. Yes,
Yeah. So people, so you do believe people can change in that
absolutely.
way.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know what's happening. I hope it's my own internet connection. Um, but
Am
I don't
I
want.
am I freezing?
So it just a bit, and I hope it's only for me that it's
I don't
not
think it's.
happening for everyone else.
I'm gonna say
Let
it's
me
for
know,
me.
guys, if it's
You,
probably from me.
yeah, you start freezing when you start talking about freezing, and then that's when it started happening on my end.
Okay, well, 5G. That's what I'm
But
using.
it's fine. You
So
still look good on my end, so yeah. So
thank you, thank you, very kind. So you think well, I do believe people can change as well. I think the short answer is yes. Sorry, the short answer is no. People cannot change. But the long answer is yes, people can change.
Okay, so start with the short answer. Let's dig in. Start with the short answer. You said yes, people can change. Then break it down.
Short
Why?
answer, no, people cannot
Oh,
change.
short
But
answer. No people can now. Okay.
yeah, you know, but long answer, yes, they can change. And I say the long answer because there has to be different factors for a person to truly change,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there is change on the surface level, superficial level, changing for a short term benefit, changing just because, like an eye service. There is that, and then there is truly change. And today we really want to talk about, can people truly change on their own? Or do they need, are there other factors that needs to line up before a person says, oh, I'm changed? And in my opinion, that sort of change, truly changing like that, is likened to transformation. It's not just a superficial surface level change. So that's why I say that's the long answer, yes, people can change.
Okay, so I
And
agree with you on like, okay, so short term, I think people make it's not a drastic change you see unless there's something else going on psychologically. But short term, I think people make very tiny changes that when you now like zoom out over like 6 months, a year, 5 years, it makes a difference. Those little changes makes a massive difference over like an increased time scale where you're like you're able to see differences. An example would be like if I go back a year, I'm still very similar to how I was a year ago. Like I don't think maybe there's slight changes here and there,
like
but
going to the gym,
well, not just going to the
or
gym.
like psychological
Okay,
change.
last year, I liked running a lot less than I like it now because I've really
Okay.
pushed myself over the last year to enjoy running. But if you go back 5 years, I am definitely a different person. You know, thoughts wise or like not really values, but like just the way I approach things. I'm a lot different from what I was like 5 years ago. Like 2019 UK is much
So
different.
can you say that what you mean is consistency plus. So you have to be consistent with
Yes, with
with
what
that sort of change, right? To see.
and then like life too, like external factors come in that like sort of like events, things happen where you're like, oh, I have to adjust around this or I have to adapt, and that adaptation in of itself, it's also another form of change that you're also undergoing as a person. So
Yeah. I think everything about us as human beings, like the creator, everything about nature is about changing, growth, in different directions. You can clearly, like you just said, as you're working on something little by little, after a long time, you see the results and it's worth it. But if you also go in the other direction, like you do not do it, you're not consistent with it, you're literally just doing the opposite of what you should be doing, then you can clearly see in a year from that day, your growth is sort of negative. Like
yeah,
it's so I think whenever I hear people say, "Oh, that's just the way I am," especially in a bad way, I'm like, "What do you mean? That's just the way you are. If it's bad, find a way and change. You can change. You're made to change. You're literally like an elastic that can change and become who you want to be." I
I
think.
think that circles back to the point I made at the start where I was like, it involves like people being able to change or just adjust their behaviors involves a certain level of like self awareness and also introspection. So you have to be like, okay, you have to be able to be introspective to just go over like your actions, what you do, how you react to situations, to be like, oh, okay, and to like again self awareness, to be able to
Mhm.
like sort of like in your like memories or like in your thoughts, be able to like pull yourself back to see it from an unbiased perspective,
Oh,
basically.
so you have to. I read it somewhere where, and I think it was a brilliant way for the author to put it, where you look at yourself or you look at your thoughts subjectively, almost like you're
Yeah.
observing your own thoughts. And that was such a powerful, and I've been practicing it since like more consciously since I read the book. And it's very powerful because you realize that you can actually observe that you are not your thoughts, like the things that comes into your brain or comes into your mind, you do not actually have to think on them. You can observe it, and you can select like what you want to dwell on and what you do not
Yeah.
want to dwell on. I thought it was a brilliant way to trick your brain into um, swapping out thoughts or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Like, yeah, I agree on. Can you hear me? I feel like I'm frozen on.
Now you are, but I was hearing you before you touched your screen.
Oh no. Okay, well,
I can still hear you. You're just
okay.
frozen.
I'll just keep talking then. But I was saying yes, that makes sense because it's either
Whatever you
that
did
or
before now, just do it again. Just whatever you touched on your screen, just touch it again.
just touch it again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it
Or you may
still
have to
frozen?
leave and come back, and I'll
Oh
just
no.
accept
Okay,
you
let me
back.
leave. Let me leave and come back.
Okay. But yeah, guys, please share this live. Share. As you can see, I am really into this topic, and if you're not, you can also come up with topics, suggestions for other solutions that I'm going to have, and I'll find a way for us to bring it in, and we can talk about it. Let me go through the comments. Oh, thank you so much, Sparkles. Thank you. Okay, I'm adding him back. I'll come back.
Okay,
Yes,
yes, awesome.
everything is fine. So you were saying.
Oh yes, I was agreeing with you in that. Like I like the concept of that book, which you should send to me. But yes, being able to be objective about your thoughts really really helps. Or if you're unable to do that, having people around you that can be objective and be honest with you, or if you still don't have that and you have still have the money for it, hire get a therapist because that's what they're
Right.
for. Pay them
Yeah.
to because then they're able to let you give you the tools or just provide that for you.
You've mentioned two things that I think are important, especially in the Nigerian society, that I really do not see much of. Um, I guess maybe one thing, but the first one would be a therapy, getting a therapist.
Mhm.
And this could be a very brilliant business opportunity. And I do not know who is listening. I don't know who is watching, but I'm hoping, as somebody's listening to this, they can be getting business ideas or whatever. But imagine that there was like an app, because I know there are trained therapists in Nigeria, and this could actually be one of the ways for people to access help and for people to access who to talk to about what is going through on their minds. In Nigeria, there's a lot of pressure, a lot of out external pressure that people go through. That um, I truly believe when you go through those traumas, you cannot be the same except you start to heal, and then we end up having these people with all of these unhealed trauma going into positions of power, and all they want to do is, they've not
Yeah.
had a chance to change or transform or know that I don't have to pass on this trauma that I experienced. So I think we may have a need for therapists, and if somebody can build a platform, an app where Nigerian therapists can sign up, register, I don't know, get just put themselves out there so the Nigerian public can find them and the Nigerian public can get these services. Because there are so many people who would benefit from therapy. There's so many families who would benefit from therapy.
I
Just and
agree, but okay, let me even ask you a question that is even related to that. Do you believe that at least like the way Nigerians are brought up even gives any bit of like, I would say, does it give any like space for even a therapist to, or allowance for people to even seek therapy, to even be aware that they need therapy? The way us Nigerians are brought up, and by us I mean the stereotypical like regular Nigerian.
yeah.
Yes.
Um in the near future, actually I think now because we're getting to that tipping point, and I think we do need the ways Nigerians were brought up. We do need that. And the reason I say that is because you have to think back to our grandparents. These are people who were directly impacted by the traumas of colonization and slavery and all of these things. And then they passed it to our parents who they had no other means of healing
Yeah.
from that trauma. And that's they've tried, a lot of them have tried to not carry on 100% of the traumas they picked up from their parents, right? That's why we have
Mhm.
our relationships with our parents is much more loose than what they had with their own parents. And then you come down to us, our generation, that is much more aware, and we did not really see, colonization, and we did not
Mhm.
experience any direct slavery. Da, da, da. So mentally, we are much more aware. We've been able to say, oh, um, mental health. Well, we are able to focus on mental health because our parents did not even have the opportunity to acknowledge that, because there was a time for you to acknowledge that
Very
your
fair.
mental health was suffering. But we now have that opportunity. And I think now we're seeing more and more, like it's just a different generation and has different needs. And if we do not take care, we might have a tipping point like is in the US, where you see, like outward violence and things just stemming from that. So I think yes, we do need therapies. It's just something where we let's start creating some sort of awareness and remove the stigma that talking to a therapist is bad, because it's not. I've had therapists in the past. I love going to see a therapist because it's literally like you sitting down there and pouring out your mind to somebody who is skilled at listening and spotting out when person is like, mm-mm, have you considered this? Because and then
Right.
you're like, oh,
And you don't need to feel guilty about talking to them because you are literally paying them to be there to listen
well,
to you.
yes, and you're paying them not to judge you because
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
yeah. So I do think we need therapy in Nigeria, and it's honestly easy. Think about it. It's something that you can administer from the comforts of your home. Most
Mhm.
of my therapy sessions were online. The person is over where they are. I'm over where I'm at. I'm able to be myself and talk to this person without, like you said, feeling guilty, feeling judged, and quite frankly, not feeling like people are watching you or you're breaking down, right?
Right.
So,
So
yeah,
now,
I
do you
do
think
think we need that.
Nigerians are self-aware slash introspective enough for therapy to be effective? I'm saying that because the stereotypical Nigerian. If I don't know if you mean, I don't need to talk. He's preaching to the
Oh,
choir. You
him,
hang
yeah,
out with
yeah, yeah,
Nigerians,
yeah.
but if you
Yeah,
argue with a
I'm
Nigerian
Nigerian
about
through,
ideas,
okay.
yes, if you're talking to the Nigerians about ideas and stuff, and they disagree, it's taken very personal because I don't know, for some reason rejection of their ideas, they
I think
conceptualize
that's
in their
something
head
we need to
as a
heal
rejection
out
of
of as
them.
a society.
Yes. So that's why
So
I'm asking, would therapy even be effective for Nigerians if Nigerians cannot even be self-aware about like
we
their
need to have,
circumstances?
yes and no. We need to have it as an option. Not everybody will find benefits in therapy,
Mhm.
but imagine that half of your family members, and this is, imagine that half of your family members have gone through therapy. They do not find a need to. point, fingers. They do not find the need to blame other people for the things going on in their lives, especially when there's really no evidence to prove as, such. There is more talk on love and forgiveness and coming together and helping, helping each other, supporting one another and all that. There's more healthy conversations. I think we would all benefit from that. Not everybody will find benefits, of course. There is, the people who will always say, the religious fanatics that will always say, oh
Yeah,
no, I
absolutely.
don't believe in such a thing as depression. I'm like,
Which is funny
oh,
because they are using religion to help sometimes deal with their own depression if they have, like, it's always when you
which
have these
is good,
conversations
but
with
at
them,
least you
which is
have to acknowledge it. You have to, because
yes,
if you're not acknowledging that you are using Christ, which is one of the things I have benefited to from being a Christ follower, right? Cast your anxiety on
your
me. Like,
burdens
don't
on
be
him.
anxious. Exactly, don't be anxious for nothing. That's one of the benefits. But you cannot also neglect the same Bible that tells you to talk to one another. It's for a reason. It's like it's nothing to be ashamed of. In a lot of ways, it's more healthy than not. Our police officers that are lashing out, apart from the fact that they're not being paid well, imagine that they were
Yes,
being paid well, they had access to therapies, like, because they see a lot of violence. Imagine that they had somebody they could that cared and said, hey, I understand it's hard. That's really what therapy is. I understand that life is hard. I'm here to listen. What's like just talk. Just when you talk, you unburden yourself, right? It's like
yes.
crying. Yeah.
No, I agree because
So
sometimes it's not even like getting a solution to the problem. It's just being able to even talk, just get it out, just
yes,
vent about it, and just to talk
just
through it with somebody.
exactly. So I think when we talk of change, yeah, people have to be ready to open up about their past, the ways they've been hurt, and also not to see, because you can't you changing and healing, I think for me goes hand in hand, because why do people refuse to change so adamantly? Because they're holding on to some hurt. Like, not
That's
really think about it, right?
But then change doesn't always have to be positive too. I think positive changing comes with healing. You could also change and
Yes,
regress as a person. So
sure,
yes.
sure. Have you noticed or share something recent, or maybe even it doesn't have to be so recent, where you noticed yourself changing? What did
Positively
that
or
look like?
negatively. But okay, let's see.
Anyone you want to share, I would hope that it's positive so we can be more encouraging. But yeah.
I would say at least over the last 5 years, uh just constant self-improvement, which is I think can be bad sometimes, but for now, at this stage of my life is really good. So post pandemic, because I mean, being just anybody that lived through 2020 to 2022.
We all have, let's
Yes,
say,
there's your
especially if
life
you're a
pre-pandemic
baby.
and post-pandemic. But yeah,
Yes.
pre-pandemic, I was very chill when it came to like just anything self-improvement. I feel like I had like my life plan in my head and I was just stuck on that where and also a little naive. But then post-pandemic, everything everything I thought I had worked out or planned was just thrown out the window, and I just sort of I had to like readjust and just redo the plans and everything I had in my head concerning my future. And a thing that came up that I had to like make a part of me was just self improvement. Like you just constantly what's there's a word I'm looking for that is escaping me right now, but not being, I guess, stagnant, but that's not really what I want to use. But just, I guess, complacency. Yes, complacency. So just not being complacent, constantly finding ways, either professionally or personally, to just improve myself and to work on things. I found that, and in doing that, I learned I like improvements. I like feeling like because to me in my head it feels like I'm moving forward. Like
Yeah.
I like again during the pandemic when everything stopped, it was one of the only ways things just made sense to me where it felt like I was actually moving forward, even though everything stopped.
Hmm.
When you learn, you're actually it feels like you're moving forward.
Yes.
Like yeah. So that at least is one bit of change at least over the last 5 years. I've realized about myself that this is part of me now, and
So you just love that. I don't think there is, because you mentioned that there could be a negative in constant self improvement.
yes, where you never gain. I guess if you're always constantly looking for the next thing, or
Without practicing
yes.
what you've
There's
learned.
no there's no like satisfaction. Like you're never going to be content, I
Mm,
guess. So
I get what you
you're
mean.
always gonna be itching to do something. Even when you get successful, you get what you want, you're happy, the happy life you've been targeting, you get it. But because you've honed that like quality in yourself where there has to be something
I
next.
mean, we've all sinned. We've sinned like PDD, where you get to your height of like having riches and money and all these
Yeah.
things, and you get bored and you start, dabbling into
Hop
things
into sexual deviancy, because you have to
you
get a
have
kick
no
from
business,
somewhere.
exactly, because you need to get the high from. So I guess you're right. If you are constantly pursuing excellence, you should not stop, but at least just stop to practice that excellence and actually see the excellence. Anyway, back to my list.
Yes, because I was gonna ask about that. Like, you had a list of questions. I'm actually really curious about.
Yes. So, um, regarding, because we've talked about just I think we've talked about change in career, like knowing, improving your skills and changing into a different career if you want. Without, like, you don't have to feel guilty about feeling stuck. If you feel stuck, just think to yourself, what would bring you joy? What thing would you, prefer to do? And if you do not know how to do it, just learn a skill that can lead you to that pathway, and hopefully that brings you happiness. But the other sort of change that we've talked on a little bit is transformation, truly true
Yeah.
change.
Okay.
The type of change that, since I am a Christian woman, I am going to talk about it. The type of change that Jesus talked about, the type of change that, like, I have been through that sort of change multiple times in my life, and I've like felt it, I've seen it, noticed it, and whenever it happens, I cannot shut up about it, right? So it's like I used to say, the kind of jobs that I found myself doing in Ukraine were not, a lot of them were not the most, um, honest jobs. So I found myself just slowly falling into this habit of being a fucking good liar. And then I had to tell myself, said, you know what, I say this is, for the job I'm doing, but is it really? Because then I started seeing it spill into my own
It bleeds
personal
into your
life.
like personal life and stuff.
Yeah.
'Cause, hey,
And
it's a
I
skill
go,
you've acquired, and you're like, hey, I'm good at
exactly. And
this.
I'm like, I'm really good at, fucking lying. And this is not good. This is not a good compliment, Heidi. So, that was a way that I couldn't change that on my own. I found it really difficult to stop or get out of the habit. And that's one of the ways that I had to be like, Holy Spirit, this one is on you. Like, I cannot do this one without you. And I remember vividly the day that it felt as if I could finally stop. And I was like, what? Thank you, Lord. I was so happy. And that's sort of like, that's a personal transformation that happened for me. And even now, like, I don't feel the urge to, when something happens, I'm just like, yeah, if I'm like back to who I was before this job that sucks me into this habit. And I love it because I love to be a straight shooter. I love to be just talk straight. If you like it, if you don't like it, what are you?
Hello, can you hear me? Because I think you just I can hear you just a bit. Yeah, you're back now because
Okay.
it froze for a while and then yeah.
Yeah. Um. Unfortunately, I had a call, and I do not know. Yeah, I think I'm going to do D&D. Okay. So
All
that
these
that
friends trying to
was
get in contact with you. Very popular.
so that was I'm not going to respond. So that's my personal that's one of my personal experiences of like experiencing transformation through change because I knew I could not stop lying on my own. Like I couldn't. And that's like one of the things I can share about that. There's been other things like in relationships. Um we are at stages in our lives where we've been through different relationships and been with different people, and maybe I'll share this instances on a different show. But since we're talking of change,
Hmm.
I've been in a relationship with a person who, just like I said, there are certain things you can't change on your own. And this person, unfortunately, did not know how else to change except to try on his own. And every time he tried, it would work for about a month and it would fail. And you can clearly see that this sort of change, you can't honestly achieve it on your own. And telling the person that sort of news as an outsider, it's difficult. Like you, because what do you mean I cannot change on my own? What do you mean I need this external factor to help me change? And it's very dicey. So I don't know. Have you ever had any instance like that where you clearly see, that this person needs to hear a certain type of message or a certain type of encouragement, but
Hmm.
you also know this person is not ready to hear that. Like they don't want to hear that. How do you even broach the topic? How do you talk to them about what you think could help and has helped you? How do you tell them that?
That's huh. I don't think I've had like I've been in a position where I needed to have like the very, very tough question like tough conversations with my friends. I think it's just because like I just whenever if they do stuff like if there's certain qualities they do a lot I may not like. I'll either call it out like just or this might be a bad quality.
Wait,
I just
or just wait for it to destroy them.
no, okay, it's never that bad. I don't think any of my friends actually show any habits that I'll be like, okay, if I don't speak up now, it'll destroy them. I like to feel like I have it in me to call you out before then, and maybe also I pick my friends well in that like I don't. I, hey,
Okay, UK, Jesus Christ.
no, no,
Uh,
no. I'm not feeling okay. I'm not trying to
because
feel. I'm not feeling self
in
righteous or
my
anything.
friend's instance,
Hmm.
in my relationship, past relationship, it did not quite end well for the person. And it's one of those things that I look back now and I go,
Could you
it
have saved
really,
them?
it, what?
Is it? Are you asking yourself like, could you have saved them or anything
No,
like
I
that?
mean, I'm not Jesus, but at
Hmm.
least, I feel that I don't think I could have done anything differently in that situation. But I do
Hmm.
think of other situations, other things where I mean, when I think of myself in comparison to some of these other people, right? I think I made these decisions to live. Like I knew I needed change, and I sought out ways in which I could truly, get help. And
Yeah.
I wasn't closed minded to the fact that it could be Jesus. Like at the end of the
Yes.
day, like I wasn't saying to myself, "Oh, if that's the only option, then no, like I'm not going to." Like because there
Anything
are
but
people like,
Jesus. That's
yeah,
crazy.
there are people like that who just because of the bad rep that Jesus has they've heard. Because I mean, there are people who've been through hell in the hands of Jesus, Jesus lovers, and then because of these experiences, they have like a really horrible version of who Christ is and who that is. So when you mention that to them, it's like, what are
Yeah.
you like? Don't even. So in those instances, there are certain things that like this, we cannot, you cannot cast this one out except through prayer and fasting. Like there are some things that are just they're strongholds. Like they hold on to you like the habit of lying or the habit of whatever it is. It holds onto you like a chokehold, and you can't just. It will not let you go just like that. Except, like I said, being transformed with another external powerful force, like the Holy Spirit. But yeah,
I think in those cases, if you're in those situations, honestly, there's really nothing. You can all you can do is just pray for them. Genuine.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Because I'm not Jesus, I cannot change a person. But yeah, that's another thing I wanted us to talk about because there is change, like I said, which might be either superficial or physical and
Mhm.
incremental, and then there is true change, which is like a 100 or a 360 that happens in your life, and you're like, ooh, I'm a whole different person. Like I know for a fact that I want to start going to the gym, and there's nothing that will make me not want to be healthy. Not again, like there's that thing that comes inside and you're like, I need to get my life in order. I think
That's-
yeah, those sort of changes. Like when I started working out,
Oh, please, I want to hear this. Please, let's hear about your workout journey. Yes.
no, see, workout is more, and people do not probably do not realize. But I started out wanting it to be physical. I was like, yeah, I want to grow my butt. Like that's all I want to work out on. Like that's all I want to build. And that was good motivation for me to at least patronize the gym. But as I continued to work out, I was like, ooh, there are all of these mental benefits to working out that people really don't talk about because it's like it's not just you don't just see these people look good physically, they also look and feel good mentally too, because
Mm.
as you're working out, you're moving your body parts, and there's something powerful about your body parts moving and your insides just working, and it's really really nice. So yeah, I started working out and I feel like a whole different person if you compare me now to me 2 years ago, physically and mentally, like I'm a whole different person, and I'm not gonna stop. Right? It's yeah. So it's one of those. It's a good change, I would say. Um, that was a positive one that I'm willing to hold on to. So
I mean, I agree with you on the workout thing because even like with running too, like I'm still like, but I really hated running. I was always like, I'd rather cycle because I love cycling, but running was something I had to force myself to adjust to because I was like, okay, I'm gonna just every morning I'll get up around like 5 to 5:30, around usually around five
what
thirty.
do you do in the winters? Do you also run in
Winter
the
is
winter?
interesting. So last winter I took, I think, a 2 month break. Luckily, like I live in Houston, so it doesn't get cold in Houston till like
Okay.
November, like mid-November to December, maybe
Okay.
January. Yeah. So last year I took a break around, I think, yeah, November, October, no, November, late November ish. I took a break because it started getting cold, and I was like, ugh, do I want to buy like clothes that like cold weather running
Oh,
clothes.
running
Yeah.
clothes for the
But this
cold.
year
Yeah,
I'm planning on actually getting cold weather running clothes and I'm going to tough it out and run through because when I stopped, whenever I'll
we're
go on
rooting for
walks
you.
outside and I'll be like, it's not that cold. It's just laziness that's just
Yeah,
killing me. But yeah.
I will be praying for you. But yeah, so I was just like thinking, and then today my pastor was preaching on the seven deadly sins, which
Mm.
is an interesting topic on its own to like just
Mhm.
talk about. But I found it he was saying so many things, and I was like, yes, yes, I completely agree. I completely agree. And the reason I bring that up is because like when you mention like the seven deadly sins, you do not see sexual sin as part of it. You do not see like murder as part of it, which are some pretty significant, things,
I think so.
immorality.
Yeah, sacrifice is part of it though. Isn't that lost? Isn't lost one of them?
Yes, but like you would think, the actual act of sex.
Ah,
Yeah. But the way and I'm glad he mentioned that because the way he explained it is like lust happens way before the actual act happens, so of course it's part of it because they're called deadly sins because these are the things that happens in your mind first, because before the physical acts, like
the
anger is part of
aggression in
it,
your head. Yeah,
right? Wrath is part of it because you get angry first before you even want to kill a person. Like you don't
that's
kill and then you get angry, like you get angry and then you kill. So I think it's the same thing like with change. If you want to something, there has to be a reason. Like you need to find a reason why you need to change. Like don't change because you want to impress some other person, like in a relationship. I think that's always dumb, and then you find out that you did not really want to change in those ways. You resent yourself, resent the person, and everything just goes downhill. But yeah, finding other positive reasons to change is a more, I think, compelling reason to keep working at it, because if you're changing, it's like you have to constantly work at it.
all
It
right. Okay,
doesn't just
I want to
happen.
give you an example of a change I did that I want to know if it was for a compelling reason or not. Right. So
Okay.
when I first started college, didn't know how to cook, and but luckily I lived with my sister and my brother. And God bless my sister. My sister is the one that started cooking in the house. And yeah, she would cook for
I
my
hope
brother
she's
and I.
watching this so she can be receiving her flowers now.
No, no, my sister knows. She actually
Okay.
she knows. But she started cooking, and then she moved out because she had to go to med school. So now I had to like start cooking, or else I'll just be buying food and listen. But another major motivator for why I actually was like, okay, I really need to start cooking was like, oh, I want to start dating, and I feel like girls will be into a guy that can cook. So yeah, let me do that.
Sure. Not
And
into, we appreciate a
I
guy who
appreciate,
can cook.
yes.
Yes.
And if I get good at some dishes, I can impress somebody with it. Be like, hey, you haven't lived until you've tried my fried rice or something like that. Which, by the way, my
Yeah.
fried rice is not to self plug, but my fried rice is
We'll
pretty.
see. We'll see whenever I visit Houston. We'll see.
But yeah, so is that a compelling enough reason to actually change? Be like, okay, I started cooking, but it was for selfish reasons
Because
to try and impress girls.
I think it wasn't, sorry, I think it was a good enough reason because you
Mhm.
started out wanting to cook because you didn't want to spend extra money on
Yeah,
food outside. So let's back up now before we even get to the girl, because the girl is the third reason. The first
really.
reason is you did not want to spend extra money
Hmm.
outside buying food. The second
Hmm.
reason, you did not want to starve because now the person who was cooking for you is gone. And the third reason is the girl. So it's like she was like an afterthought, but it's a good byproduct
Mm.
benefits.
Okay, okay, okay. I like that breakdown. I
But you
like that.
see how it is, right? Because I
Yes,
mean, if it was just a girl, shit,
that is
you
true.
know, if it was just a girl, like if you had enough money to just whatever spend in college, while in college paying for fees and just gallivanting, right? Someone
That's
said
it.
change
So
for
you said change for
survival.
survival. Yes, it was change for survival. It really was.
Yeah, you had to like it. That's enough. That's a good enough reason to change. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know. When people have I ever changed for a man? Let me see. No,
I got very curious because I was like, okay, I need to hear this one.
no. Because why? Every change that I have ever made in my life, believe it or not, has been largely maybe like some percentage, some person's son would benefit from that, but like more than 50% of the reason, the first reason is for me, it's for something that like I'm going after. it was never because like no. Like yeah, that's I think that's dumb. Except you both want the same things. Otherwise, why? One of you would just end up resenting the other person.
Because it's not for you. Like that's hey, life is a journey, right? It's a personal journey. So if it's not for you, you yeah. Because you're
Yeah.
just going to end up being somebody that you don't want to be or you don't like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You change into this person, you impress this person, and then that person gets tired of you because they realize that you're acting fake because that's not really you.
it's
So
not
they can
really
spot the fakeness. Now they leave you because you're fake, and now you resent the person for leaving because you changed for them in the first place. Bruh, make that make sense. Just no. That's too dramatic for me. Too Yeah, Chuckleberry said, "Yeah, life is a personal journey. If you change because of some person, hmm, I pity you. Do
yeah.
not change because of yourself."
Don't. Yeah, I would never. Because you feel more fulfilled when you change for you. You're like, oh, I wanted to do this different. Then you put
Yeah,
in the work, and then you get there. It's more fulfilling than changing for somebody.
absolutely. All right, so let's see if we have any questions in the comments regarding this topic of change. Um, did you see this one that Chuck Amerisa said, "I'm rooting for you on the DevOps journey." He's
Oh, thank you,
also
Triple Marissa.
yeah, that's my manager. He's
Oh,
also into tech. Yeah, he's into tech and but he's a great guy. But yeah, I would like to know if you have any final words or any questions for me regarding change or this topic that we're talking about. Like these are just opinions and things that we've gone through in life that we're sharing.
yeah.
So
Final thoughts. Not really a lot on topic because I feel like we've exhausted everything to
yeah,
talk about, unless you are hiding any Easter egg questions from me. But I would say I had fun coming on here. I hope you have me again because this was really fun.
yes.
Yeah. And what else? Oh, you need to send me a workout routine since you're a whole, fitness trainer now. You're,
I mean, I'm not a fitness trainer.
PSA.
I just know what I want to grow. I just know the parts of my body that I wish to grow. Like I
Because
think, yeah,
I need a workout routine because I like muffins and I feel like without, you know, an active lifestyle, I would just want to be on muffins all day. And
yeah. Well, if that's what you're on, hey, good luck
so
to you.
I need a routine to get me like disciplined. So yeah.
Yeah, no, just I mean, I think you look fit. The last time I saw you, you look fit. So yeah, I know you're trying to deceive the girls on here, but um. So I'm going to add your X accounts and social media accounts to the description
Yes.
below. Yeah, so people can connect with you if they want to. But I'm really, really excited that you got to join me today, and I will be making you a regular feature on this show.
Oh, also, let me
Um,
plug my podcast. I have a Nigerian history podcast called the ITK Podcast. It's really, really good. I focus on Nigerian and African history. I'm working on dropping like new episodes this fall. So yeah,
yeah, guys,
listen.
seriously, check it out. I will
There's
also link
voices,
that.
there's sound effects. Like
Yeah,
who knows? ID
I
will
will
probably
link
be
that.
on one or two episodes this fall if I'm recording. So yes, please.
I would really love to be a part of it. But seriously, I've listened to the podcasts. They're really good. I love promoting any Nigerian excellence, Nigerian, any, products, whatever is out there. So please, guys, support his podcast. And whenever he comes on here, come back and join us. And I'll see you next Sunday where I'll have another fantastic guest. She's a chef in Nigeria, in Lagos,
Mm.
Nigeria, and I'd like to bring her on here and talk about the food industry in Nigeria, just what that looks like. Is it saturated as people are, scared to dabble into it? So That would be fun. And above all, I wish you all a wonderful week. Come back next week Sunday and hang out with me, please. And always share this live, like, subscribe, and again, come back for more. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.